Live to Washington now, and Arsalan Iftikhar, who's an international human rights lawyer, talk us through some of the legal issues surrounding all of this. Thank you for your time, Mr. Iftikhar. Let's go step by step. First of all, what actually happened, the revelations themselves, what happened in the field, if you like. Is there an obligation for a US troop or any troop to intervene? Because this is the issue here, that they didn't jump in when they saw bad things going on.
Right. Well, the United States is a signatory to the Convention Against Torture, and there are several provisions under the Torture Convention, which does say that if a signing jurisdictional state is witnessing torture or one of their agents, they do have a responsibility to report it to the people in charge. In this case, it would be the Iraqi government. And so, in the cases of torture, obviously, it comes as no surprise. These WikiLeak documents, the 400,000 documents that were recently released, obviously we knew about Abu Ghraib and, the famous civilian massacre at Haditha. And so there wasn't a lot of earth-shattering news that came out of this. The scope and the volume of it, of course, was quite staggering. But yes, there is a legal obligation under the Convention Against Torture if U.S. Army officials do witness torture in an occupied territory to report it to the local jurisdictional authorities.
Okay, so that's the step, as I said, the first step, what actually happened. Now that this has all been revealed, and you get a lot of human rights lawyers saying, well, there were war crimes committed and someone's got to be prosecuted and someone's got to take responsibility. Realistically, what can actually happen now?
Well, realistically, probably not much. Article 147 of the Fourth Geneva Conventions very broadly defines war crimes as the willful killing, torture, or inhumane treatment of civilians not justified by military necessity and either carried out unlawfully or wantonly. Now, as most people know, the United States is not a signatory to the Rome Treaty, which established the International Criminal Court. And so, any calls for any prosecution of war crimes against the United States, since the American government is not a signatory to the ICC, is more of a political gambit in terms of putting more political pressure on the American government to investigate these human rights abuses, both within Iraq and Afghanistan.
And will they?
Well, I think, with this recent, surge of 400,000 documents, I think one of the unintended consequences of this is probably going to be a little more transparency from the Pentagon. I think that, if they know that obviously there's a website out there called WikiLeaks and there are whistleblowers within the American military, I think it might, give the Pentagon a little more pause, before keeping such a voluminous quantity of documents secret from the public.
So is it's almost coming down to a moral battle, whether the US or any international force wants to do something about this morally, consciously, rather than the intricacies of legalese, if you like.
Right. Obviously the concept of international law and war crimes was, first established in modern times during the Nuremberg tribunals after World War II in 1945. And so, obviously, there in the 60 plus years since the Nuremberg tribunals, we've seen international courts set up. We saw one for the former Yugoslavia and Rwanda in 1994. And so, there has been a lot done by the international community, to deal with war crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity. And right now we're dealing with a situation where, since the U.S. is not a signatory to the International Criminal Court, it's going to have to be more political and public pressure, to deal with these human rights abuses.
Intriguing stuff. Thank you, Arsalan Iftikhar, joining us there from Washington. I know it's late. Thanks for sticking around.
My pleasure, Kamal. Thank you.